Hey, how y'all doing? This is Sutton 919 Truth Sports coming to you with another segment. So I want to go ahead and get right into it. This segment is called Ex Colorado Buffs Update, where I do an update on some of the ex Colorado Buffs players that I became fans of, and they end up, of course, transferring. So I try to keep the page up with them and you all up with them as far as how they're doing weekly, as far as production in their games, and also how their team is doing as well. Win or loss, etc. So throughout that, I got a couple requests to do a couple of coaches. I got a request on Coach Sean Lewis, which I did that already. And then in the comment section, I got another request to do Darian Hagan. So let me go ahead and get right into that. This one is on Coach Darian Hagan, who did transfer from Colorado to San Diego State with Coach Sean Lewis last year. So this was his first full year. He was named the running backs coach at San Diego State, which is the same title he held at Colorado before he transferred over. So team wise, want to cover that first. They did lose their last six in a row. They had a 3-win season. They did finish 3-9 and 10th in the Mountain West out of 12 teams. So now let's get into what he actually coaches, which is the running backs. Well, I call it the running backs room. He did coach a 1,000-yard running back in Marquez Cooper, who finished with 1,274 yards for the season. Now for the season, his numbers were 293 carries. Now I want to kind of talk about the 293 carries. Jinty, who's of course the Heisman Trophy candidate from Boise State, carried the ball 312 times. So that tells you how important he was with running that ball and how many times he carried the ball. Those guys are complete workhorses. But he had 293 carries for 1,274 yards on the 4.3 average per carry and 12 touchdowns. Now they only used three running backs all season. So the second guy behind Marquez only had 14 carries for 76 yards and zero touchdowns. Now, their team as a whole only scored 13 rushing touchdowns. So Marquez had all except for one of those rushing touchdowns, and the other one came from the quarterback. So Marquez, with his numbers, put him at 15th in the nation in rushing, which is excellent. His touchdown total put him at 33rd in the nation in touchdowns, which is very good. Now, within his own conference, he finished second in rushing, only behind the Heisman candidate in Ashton Jeanty. So that tells you how good he was. So as a whole, the running backs room at San Diego State under Coach Darian Hagan finished with 1,427 yards and 12 touchdowns. Not bad at all. Even though most of them came from almost all of it came from one guy. Now, if you compare that to Colorado's running back room and Coach Flea, Colorado basically ran by committee. They used four different running backs for the most part. The most amount of rushing attempts they had was 82 yards. The least amount they had was 26 yards. And the most, I think the least was by Charlie Offendahl, I think if I'm saying his name correctly. And the most was by Augusta this year. So the running backs room at Colorado only produced 849 yards and 10 touchdowns. So basically, and Marquez Cooper outrushed Colorado in every way. So it is what it is. But I wanted to give you a quick coaching update on Coach Hagan and how he did as far as running backs. And that running back is a senior, so I don't know if he's coming back for another year or not. Who knows? But it is what it is. It's been Hunt 919 Truth Sports. Ride with me.